Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Dr. DeWanda Farmer, and I am the CED doctor. I am a community economic development expert, grant writer extraordinaire, nonprofit thought leader, and coach. Today, we are here to provide technical assistance for the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development's Maryland Affordable Housing Trust Program. This technical assistance today supports the 2015 Round 39 of funding for new and previous applicants. The purpose of the program is where we'll start. The Maryland General Assembly created the Maryland Affordable Housing Trust, or MAHT, program in 1992 to make affordable housing more available throughout the state of Maryland. The trust is governed by an 11-member board of trustees appointed by the governor and is staffed by the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development. A portion of the interest generated by title company escrow provides the funding for MAHT. The applicable laws and regulations that govern this program are found in the Housing and Community Development article, subsection 10-101 through 10-301 of the Annotated Code of Maryland as amended, and the Insurance Article Section 22-103 of the Annotated Code of Maryland, and is regulated by the Code of Maryland Regulations, or COMAR 31.16.03.01 through .08. From its inception in 1992 through June 30th, 2014, the MAHT program has funded activities that include pre-development costs, capital projects, operating assistance, nonprofit capacity building. Working capital loans were funded in fiscal year 2003, and support services. The total funding for the MAHT program as of June 30th, 2015 is $43,713,678. The program activities that are supported by the MAHT program promote affordable housing for households earning less than 50% of statewide or area median income as provided by HUD income guidelines, which can be found at the Department of Housing and Community Development's website at www.dchd.maryland.gov. The funding capital cost of can be used for funding capital costs of rental and ownership housing. The program also provides financial assistance for nonprofit developer capacity building, and it funds supportive services for occupants of affordable housing. Funding may also be used for operating expenses of affordable housing development. The MAHT program does not provide funding for direct rental assistance to tenants or for capacity building assistance that is not directly related to a specific housing development. The MAHT program does not provide funding to purchase grantee personal property, such as office furniture or equipment. Funds availability. The MAHT program generally offers 2 rounds of funding each year, which occur in January and August. The maximum award amount for any one project is $150,000. MAHT allocates up to 15% of its funds for capacity building and pre-development costs, with the balance of funds allocated for capital costs, operating expenses, and supportive services. The Maryland Affordable Housing Trust has awarded over $43 million in loans, grants, and other financial assistance. The board determines solely whether funds are to be awarded as loans or grants, and the determination is based upon a financial analysis of each individual project. The financing terms are set by the governing board, and although MAHT reserves the right to make its funding available as interest-bearing loans, funding for project-specific capacity building, operating expenses, and support services are generally made as grants. Funding for capital costs are offered as deferred payment loans or recoverable grants, payable if the project is sold and or ceases to be used for low-income occupancy. Pre-development awards are generally repayable. Who are the eligible applicants for the MAHT program? Eligible applicants include nonprofit organizations, public housing authorities, government agencies, and profit-motivated entities. The eligible uses of MAHT funds include acquisition, construction, rehabilitation, or preservation of affordable housing. Some examples include usual and reasonable pre-development expenses, the purchase of existing property, purchase of unimproved land, fees for architects and other professionals required to implement projects, demolition to make way for new affordable housing, building materials and labor costs, and the purchase of federally assisted housing as to guarantee the continuation of federal assistance. The costs incurred by nonprofit organizations to develop or implement an affordable housing project may also be funded through MAHT. Funding must be related to the development of a specific housing project. Examples include capacity building, such as organizational assistance, training, legal, and accounting costs, technical assistance, such as development consultants, and project operating assistance following completion of construction or rehabilitation, such as utilities, support service staff, debt service, and rent subsidies. Operating expenses for up to 3 years of existing and new housing development in the promotion of affordable housing are also included under the MAHT program. Examples include project-specific assistance for security deposit escrows, operating costs such as utilities, debt service, rent subsidies, and support services for up to 3 years for occupants of affordable housing. Examples of support services include job skills training, job-specific assistance, budget counseling, substance abuse aid, mental health care, and child care services. The selection criteria is that all activities funded by MAHT generally serve residents with incomes of less than 50% of statewide or area median income, whichever is higher. However, preference is given to projects that serve households with incomes of less than 30% of area median income. Projects that meet the following criteria will be most competitive. Projects that target very low-income persons, provide housing for families with minor children, and or single adults in single-room occupancy units. Projects that demonstrate project readiness and feasibility. Projects that project long-term affordability and demonstrate need or demand for housing in geographic areas that helps achieve equitable geographic distribution of MAHT funds. Projects that leverage other funds and or provide the final piece in a financing package, and provide self-sufficiency services. Round 39 application deadline is Thursday, September 24th of 2015. Applications must be received before 4 o'clock p.m. Any application received after the 4 p.m. deadline on Thursday, September 24th of 2015 will not be considered for funding in this round. The applicant must submit one signed original and 2 copies of the application, including attachments. Applications should be delivered to Maryland Affordable Housing Trust, care of Department of Housing and Community Development at 7800 Harkins Road in Lanham, Maryland, 20706. After submitting hard copies, applicants are encouraged to email a completed application to sean.kingston@maryland.gov. Award announcements are expected to be made in November, and the final award selection will be made at the sole discretion of the Board of Trustees and will not be subject to challenge or contest by the applicant. The Maryland Affordable Housing Trust will not cover or reimburse any costs incurred before the Board of Trustees approves an award of funds. The agreement will specify how the funds will be dispersed and what conditions must be met. Award notices will be made by letter and will include the amount of the grant or loan, notification that the grantee must provide a certificate of good standing, the date that the funds are expected to be made available, and the procedure by which the grant or loan agreement will be prepared. Compliance and monitoring is conducted by the Department of Housing and Community Development. The Maryland Affordable Housing Trust may at any time inspect and monitor the records and work of the proposed project as to performance and compliance with program rules and requirements. Maryland Affordable Housing Trust reserves the right to terminate the agreement in the event that an awardee loses its ability to proceed with the project, makes material alterations, or fails to comply with the project schedule. Any questions that you may have regarding the Maryland Affordable Housing Trust should be directed to our Deputy Director, Sean Kingston. You may reach Mr. Kingston at sean.kingston@maryland.gov or by phone at 301-429-7802. Again, my name is Dr. DeWanda Farmer, and we thank you for attending this technical assistance training for Round 39 for the 2015 Maryland Affordable Housing Trust Fund.